Yo, what's up? We got a Ford Ranger today. First thing I did was fill up the brake fluid, pump the brake pedal a few times while I had it off in the air. And, that way we can find where it's leaking. Right there's the wet spot. We're going right there. Looks like this line's been replaced in the past. So we've got this line to do. That one's been replaced. So we're going to replace this guy right there, all the way to over there. So next thing I'm gonna do is spray down some PB Blaster where these fittings go in. Get them soaked down. Hopefully they come out easy. All right, I've cut this brake line with some side snips. We'll cut this one too. Not too close to the nut, but pretty close. And then there's this little hold down clip. You can open it up with a flathead screwdriver. Pull that out. There's our old brake line out. Now it's time to figure out what socket size that is. It's super rusty. It looks like it's missing a chunk. So, wire brush them off first. Alright, I wire brushed it. 11 millimeter, 6-sided socket is what you want. Don't use a 12-sided on these. And don't use a wrench if you can get away with using a ratchet. Always use a ratchet. And then we'll just crack her free. These get so rusted and tight in there that a wrench just ends up stripping out the sides. There we go, and we got our first one off. There we go. Alright, before I get my new line fabricated, I want to make sure I can loosen that bleeder screw. See, it looks, let's see here, it looks really rusty. 3/8 is the right size, but it's still slightly sloppy. That's because it's rusted. It's lost some of its hex. And it feels like it's going to snap. So I'm going to apply some heat to it with a mini torch. Get it a little warm and see if it'll crack free with a little heat. Otherwise, I'm just going to yank on it, and if it snaps, it snaps, and then we're replacing the wheel cylinder behind it. Alright, a little bit of heat. Let's see if it comes off. Alright, that bleeder, you can see it smoking a little bit. I got it almost cherry red and it finally broke free. I thought it was going to snap. It's hard to see with the camera because it's all discolored from the heat now. There we go. So, it came free. We'll be able to bleed these brakes. I'm going to show you how to reuse your brake fittings. So I got it nice and shiny on the side with my bench grinder there, my wire wheel part of it. I'm going to chop this top part off with my little air cutter and get it nice and clean and flush. Alright, she's cleaned up and flush. I'm going to take our drill. This is 3/16 line, so 3/16 bit. And we just drill right through the center there. The fitting works as a pilot hole. There we go, all the way through. We get a little clean for that rust that's in there. And we have a brand new fitting again. Alright, we put a flare in our line, making my own line. It's just a regular standard flare. You can get one of these kits for like 15 bucks from the parts store. Just clamp your line in, keep it pretty smooth with this tool, and then use this tool to tighten down, and it just opens up a flare. Make sure you put your fitting on first, facing the right way. All right, now I got to take this out of the clamp here and figure out how much line we need. All right, we got our second fitting on there. See, they face away from each other like that, because that one's gonna be fitted right there on that end. So I've cut off a chunk, estimating how much I need, and then adding just a little bit, because you never know if you got to re-chop again. If you have too much, you can always make a little spiral. It's always better to have a little bit extra. So to cut the line, we use this little cutter tool. I've also got that bigger one there. They both work. Little line cutter tools, because when it cuts, it's got to be a smooth cut. So now I'm going to flare this end. Alright, so I flared the other end, and I started with the tough side, the hard side, made my bend, started it there, and routed it where the old line went, and started it right in there. I don't have the fittings tight yet because I'm still moving around. So now I got to put it in this little hanger. Where's this hanger at? Right there. You can't even see it on camera. Anyways, so it looks like I cut myself off a perfect amount, not too much. I was trying to leave myself an extra couple inches, but it's perfect size. So I got a little extra bend there. It's going to give me a little extra line. Now be careful not to kink when bending your line. I bend by hand for anything 3/16, quarter inch. It's easy once you got the feel for it, but be very careful making these right angles because you can kink them. You can get yourself a little bending tool if you're scared to kink for tight bends. Looks like this. You put the line in there and clamp her down and make your bend. So now I'm going to take away some of this bend because I got too much, set it in its groove, lock it in, and tighten up the fittings. All right, I got everything tightened up, and the brake line is hovering in place, nice and firm, just a little bit of wiggle. Not touching any other metal that it's gonna rub against. And when you're doing these brake line fittings, you clean them up real good, or you got brand new fittings, they should go in smoothly. So if you start that first thread and then it gets really tight, you get them cross-threaded, and you gotta wiggle the head, the fitting a little bit. Maybe put a little tiny bend at a time in to get it to straighten up. It's really easy to cross-thread these, so don't start cross-threading them, or else you're gonna ruin either your fitting or your wheel cylinder or your block up here. You're gonna ruin some threads and have to replace another part. So make sure they're going in smooth. You got them going in straight. So everything's tightened up. I've sprayed it down with some brake cleaner to get rid of the fluid. So now I can pump the pedal, get it bled, and after I get it bled, there's gonna be brake fluid coming down here, maybe getting on your line. Clean it up with some brake cleaner again, and pump that pedal up and make sure you have no leaks coming from your fitting, because your flare might not have took or something, or you might have to tighten it down a little more. Either way, always check for leaks afterwards. So I got videos on bleeding brakes. A bunch of people have videos on it if you need help with that. But yeah, after we bleed these brakes and check for leaks, job's all done.